Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Okay. In the last class, we have discussed about the absorption of water and minerals by the roots and transport of water from the epidermal cells up to the xylem, which occurs by apoplast and symplast pathway together. Okay, and next today we'll discuss about water movement up a plant. That means how the transport of water will occur to the upper layers of the upper parts of the plant, that is from the roots to the stem. So that is okay. We looked at how plants absorb water from the soil and move into the vascular tissues. Okay, up to now we have discussed okay, the absorption of water by the roots and transportation of water epidermal cells up to the vascular tissues. And we now have to try and understand how this water is transported to various parts of the plant. That means, okay, after getting transported up to the xylem and through xylem, how the water is getting transported to the different parts of the plant. That one we have to understand. Okay, is the water movement active or it is still passive? So first of all, we have to know whether the movement of the water in the xylem is taking place either actively or passively. That is, actively means with the utilization of energy, or without passively means without utilization of energy. That one. Okay, since the water has to be moved up a stem against gravity, what provides the energy for this? Okay, so that means, okay, that means the water from the roots has to be transported to the stem, which is present a little bit higher in height. So that means here the water has to move against the gravity. Okay, the water has to move against the gravity. So if the water has to move against the gravity, okay, how the okay how okay which one will provide energy for the movement of the water from the root to the upper parts of the plant against the gravity? So what is the energy means? Okay, it is nothing but the root pressure. Okay, the root pressure. Okay, that means okay, when you observe here, what is meant by root pressure? So as various ions from the soil are actively transported into the vascular tissues of the roots. Okay, that is already the cytoplasm is having certain concentration. Okay, that is, and next the mineral salts are present in the soil, dissolved in the water and form a soil solution. Okay, already the cytoplasm is having certain concentration. So the okay, the molecules or the mineral salts need to be transported across the membrane against this concentration, because already the molecules, already these minerals are present in the cytoplasm. So the molecule, okay, the mineral salts has to be absorbed against the concentration gradient. That means okay, against the concentration, so it has to be transported by active process. So that means the mineral salts are absorbed by the roots by active transport and into the vascular tissues of the roots. Up to the transport, up to the vascular tissues, the mineral salts are transported by active transport, because the mineral salts are transported through the cytoplasm of the cell against the concentration, because already the cytoplasm is having certain concentration. So depending upon the requirement, okay, these mineral salts has to be absorbed more than the concentration of the cytoplasm, so they are transported actively, okay, through the roots in up to the vascular tissues. and water follows and increases the pressure inside the xylem. So, okay, along with the mineral salts, the water also get transported. As a result, some potential gradient is developed. That means difference in the potential and increases the pressure inside the xylem. As more and more water is continuously moving, so some pressure will be developed in the xylem because more water is moving from the lateral sides of the root up to the xylem. Okay, from epidermal cells, cortical cells, endodermis, pericycle, and finally the xylem, the water enters. And finally, okay, some pressure will be increased in the xylem. Okay, and this positive pressure is called root pressure. Okay, whatever the pressure that is developed in the water of the xylem due to the continuous movement of water from the epidermal cells up to the xylem, we are calling it as the root pressure. And this is the positive pressure because continuously the water is entering into the xylem. Okay, from the cells that are present adjacent to it. So as a result, continuously some pressure is built up. So the pressure, okay, here the pressure is in positive because of more pressure we are observing. And this pressure we are calling it as
light
root pressure.
dana kudu dani tentu kudu ngam
Okay, and this pressure we are calling it as the root pressure and can be responsible for pushing up water to small heights in the stem. Okay, this pressure which was developed due to the continuous intake of water by the xylem, okay, which develops the positive pressure, we are calling it as the root pressure. And this root pressure, okay, is able to push the water to a certain height in the plant, okay, to a small height, okay, not for a 100 meter, okay, 90 meter, 100 meter length, they will not push the water. They can push up to maximum of 3 meters, okay, up to 3 meters height in a plant. The water can be transported by this root pressure that is developed in the xylem of the roots due to the continuous intake of water by the xylem. Okay, that is. And next, how we can demonstrate? Okay, can we able to demonstrate the root pressure? Yes, we can able to demonstrate the root pressure. How we can able to demonstrate the root pressure? Okay, take a potted plant which is well watered. Okay, we have to place surplus amount of water. A well watered potted plant we have to take with a little bit thick stem. And next, after well watering that plant, now what we have to do means we have to cut the plant near to the base of the stem. Okay, we have to cut the plant near to the base of the stem. Okay, and we have to take a S-shaped bent tube which is of the size of the diameter of the stem. That what we have selected. Okay, okay, with respect to the diameter, of the stem, we have to select a rubber tube which is of S-shaped so that we can easily fit to the cut end of the stem. And now we have to do means we have to collect, okay, to the one end of the S-shaped tube, we have to connect it to the cut end of the stem and the other end is free. And to that end, we have to connect a glass tube, a straight glass tube. And in that, in that S tube and this straight glass tube, we have to pour water up to a certain level. We have to mark the water level. Okay, we have to pour some water and we have to mark the level of the water. And this whole setup is placed aside for about 1 hour to 2 hours. After 1 hour or 2 hours, when you observe, we can observe there is an increase in the level of water in the glass tube. Okay, there is an increase in the level of water in the glass tube. From where this water is obtained means this water is obtained. Okay, this water is obtained. Okay, this water is obtained from the roots, which is absorbed by the root hairs. Okay, the xylem, through xylem, it is transported to this S-shaped tube, and it caused the increase in the level of water. And if you apply some weight on that, the level of water, we can able to calculate the pressure exerted by water that is entered into the glass tube, that is equal to the root pressure. That is called pressure. That is equal to the pressure exerted by the water that is absorbed by the roots, which is transported to the xylem. That is what we are calling it as root pressure. The pressure exerted by water that is present in the xylem of the roots, we are calling it as root pressure. That in turn will exert pressure on the water column that is present in the S-shaped bent tube. That one will give the root pressure. So that is what that's how we can able to demonstrate the root pressure. So how we can see that root pressure exists? Choose a small soft stemmed plant, and on a day when there is a plenty of atmospheric moisture, cut the stem horizontally near the base with a sharp blade early in the morning. You will soon see drops of solution ooze out of the cut stem. Okay, some water drops are coming out of the cut portion of the stem, and this comes out due to the positive root pressure. And if you want to know how much pressure is exerted, if you fix a rubber tube to the cut stem on a sleeve, you can actually collect and measure the rate of exudation. Exudation means whatever the fluid that is coming out of the stem, we are calling it as the exudation. Cut portion, whatever the fluid that is coming out of that cut portion of the stem, we are calling it as exudation. Okay, we can measure the rate of exudation and also determine the composition of the exudates. Okay, we can collect that exudate, and we can analyze the chemical composition of that exudate, so that we can understand what are the different substances that are transported in these vascular tissues. And by calculating the amount, that means how much water is or how much exudate is coming from, okay, in a particular period of time. By that we can able to calculate the rate of transportation. Okay, effects of root pressure is also observable at night and early morning when evaporation is low and excess water collects in the form of droplets around the special openings of the veins near the tips of grass blades and the leaves of many herbaceous parts. Okay, that means we can observe the root pressure very clearly in the grass plants, because the grass plant will grow very small. Okay, during the early morning when the moisture in the atmosphere is very high and the transpiration rate is very less, during that period we can observe small droplets of water coming from the endings of the veins of the grass leaves. Okay, this exudates that are obtained from the veins, endings of the veins of this grass plant, we are calling them as a, okay, they represents the, okay, these exudates are coming because of the root pressure. Okay, if the moisture content in the atmosphere is less, okay, the water will be lost through the openings that are present in the leaves, okay, by a process called transpiration. But when the moisture content is more, transpiration cannot occur. So as a result, what happens? To facilitate the movement of water or transportation of water to the different parts of the plant, what happens? The water or the exudate, the fluid will be, okay, exudated through the veins that are present in the leaves in the form of droplets, okay, which we are calling it as a guttation. Okay, that is such water loss in liquid phase is known as guttation. Okay, loss of water from the plant in the form of water vapor through the openings that are present in the plant, we are calling it as a transpiration. We call it as a transpiration. But when the moisture content in the atmosphere is very high, then the plant cannot lose water. The plant cannot lose water by transpiration. So, but to facilitate the transport of water within the plant has to lose water. So, as there is no chance for transpiration or less transpiration, so the transportation cannot occur properly. So, to facilitate transportation, the plant will lose water in the form of liquid, in the form of water droplets, okay, through the exudates of the veins that are present in the leaves, through the endings, okay, through the endings of the veins, the water droplets are obtained. And this process we are calling it as this, okay, the lose, okay, if the plant loses water in the form of droplets or in a liquid phase, okay, such a phenomenon we are calling it as a guttation. Okay, we can observe very clearly the guttation during the winter season in the grass plants, because the grass plants are very small plants. So, okay, if in tall plants observe that much root pressure. Why? Because, okay, the root pressure is not enough to transport water to the long distance. It will transport only a small distance only. But when you observe the grass plants are very small. They can't grow up to a long heights. They will be very smaller in height. So the root pressure can be easily observed in the form of guttation during the winter season, especially because in the other seasons they lose water by transpiration. So we can't observe the guttation phenomena. Understood? Anybody is having any doubt in this? And next, root pressure can at best only provide a modest push in the overall process of water transport. Okay, that means the plant will not completely depend upon the root pressure. Plant will not completely depend upon the root pressure. Only provide a modest push in the overall process of water transport. They obviously do not play a major role in water movement up tall plants, movement up tall trees. Okay, in tall trees, the root pressure is not only involved in the transport to the upper parts of the plant. So the greatest contribution of root pressure may be to re-establish the continuous chains of water molecules in the xylem, which often break under the enormous tension created by transpiration. Okay, we all know very well the transpiration. That is the, okay, the, what is meant by transpiration? The process of loss of water by the plant in the form of water vapor, we are calling it as a transpiration. So continuously the water is lost by transpiration. As a result, the chain of water column in the xylem is broken down. But for the continuous supply of water to the plant, a continuous chain of water has to be maintained. So to maintain that continuous chain of water molecules in the xylem or in the vascular tissues, the root pressure plays a very important role. The root pressure plays a very important role to re-establish broken chains of water molecules due to transpiration. That is the main purpose of root pressure in tall trees. In small trees, the root pressure is enough. In small trees, the root pressure is enough for the transportation of water to the upper parts of the plant. But in tall trees, that means we can say like if the plant is more than 3 meters height, if a plant is growing more than 3 meters height, in that case, root pressure alone will not help in the transportation. Along with the root pressure, the transpiration, especially we can say the transpiration plays a very important role in the transportation of water to the upper parts of the plant body. Okay, so that's why, so the only, okay, that means in a tall tree, what is the function of the, what is the major function of the root pressure means to re-establish the broken chains of water molecules due to transpiration. Okay, due to transpiration. So that is okay. So in tall trees, root pressure does not account for the majority of water transport. Most plants meet their need by transpiratory pull. Okay, root pressure is pushing the water upwards, whereas the transpiration causing the pulling force. So that's why the transpiration is playing a very important role in the transportation of water to the upper parts of the plant, especially in tall trees. So the transpiratory pull is the main which is driving the water to move upwards. Okay, there is okay. What is the role of transpirational transpiration pull in a transportation of substances or transportation of water in the xylem? Okay, despite the absence of the heart or a circulatory system in plants, the upward flow of water through xylem in plants can achieve fairly high rates up to 15 meters per hour. Okay, in animals, we'll find the heart which will generate certain positive hydrostatic pressure and which help or positive hydrostatic pressure and which will pump the blood vessels so that the blood can flow with some pressure in the blood vessels and get transported to the different parts of the body. Okay, some part will be pushing and some part will act as a suction and it will collect the blood from different parts of the body. Okay, some half portion will act as a pumping and a half portion will act as a suction. Okay, that is so suction and pumping both will be done by the heart. So that's why in animals we don't find such a problem in the transportation of blood to different parts of the body. But in case of plants, we don't find such structure. We don't find a heart, okay, to create certain pressure or to create certain suction to to push the water, to pull the water. Okay, such structures are not there in plants. Still, even such structures are not present in the plants, but the transportation of water in the xylem will occur at a higher rate up to 15 meters per hour. Okay, while we are discussing about diffusion, okay, diffusion we have come at only 2.5 micrometers. Okay, 2.5 micrometers length only the water molecule get transported by diffusion. In a second. But here, because of transpirational pull, or okay, in okay, xylem, in the xylem, the transportation of water occurs at a rate of 15 meters per hour. How is this movement accomplished? A long-standing question is whether water is pushed or pulled through the plant. Okay, from a very long time, okay, a question was there. Okay, to say whether the water is pushed or pulled. Okay, that means it is pushed from the upwards or it is pulled from the upwards. Okay, for a transportation. So, okay, for all, okay, for this, to solve this question, okay, and most researchers agree that water is mainly pulled, not pushed through the plant. And driving force for this process is the transpiration from the leaves. Okay, how this pulling force is generated means this pulling force is generated because of the transpiration. So most of the researchers accepted that the water in the xylem is transported because of the pulling force, which is developed by the transpiration through the openings of the leaves. Through the opening of the leaves. This is referred to as a cohesion tension transpiration pull model. Okay, cohesion. Okay, this is referred to as a cohesion tension transpiration pull model of water transport. But what generates this transpirational pull? Okay, that is cohesion tension. That means some cohesion is there and some tension will be developed because of the transpirational pull. So that's why this movement of water in the xylem, we are calling it as a cohesion tension transpirational pull model of transportation of water in the xylem. Okay, that is, and how this transpiration helps in transportation of water in the xylem. Okay, when you observe here, water is a transient in plants. Less than 1% of water reaching the leaves is used in photosynthesis and plant growth. Okay, that means, for example, if a plant is, okay, for saying, if a plant is absorbing 100 ml of water, in that 100 ml of water, less than 1 ml of water is only utilized for its metabolic activities, for photosynthesis and other metabolic activities. And what's happening to the other remaining 99% of water? Okay, the remaining water, what is happening means most of it is lost through the stomata in the leaves. This water loss is known as a transpiration. Okay, only 1% or less than 1% of water is only utilized for its metabolic activities, the plant, and the remaining okay, more than 99% of the water is lost into the atmosphere through the openings that are present in the leaves. Okay, and this process we are calling it as a transpiration. Okay, this water loss is known as a transpiration. is known as a transpiration. Okay, you have studied transpiration in an earlier class. In the earlier class, by enclosing a healthy plant in a polythene bag and observing the droplets of water formed inside the bag. Okay, you could also study water loss from the leaf using cobalt chloride paper, which turns color on absorbing water. Okay, that is okay. If you want to know the process, okay, whether the transpiration is taking place or not. Okay, simply what we have to do means, okay, you take a potted plant which is well watered, and next after that, what you have to do means, we have to, okay, you have to take a polythene bag and cover the total plant with the polythene bag in the sun. After some time, you can observe the collection of water droplets on the inner side of the polythene bag. Okay, from where these water droplets are obtained means, these water droplets are obtained from the openings of the openings that are present in the leaf, that is the stomata. Okay, the stomata are the openings that are present in the leaf. Through that stomata, the okay, the plant will lose water in the form of water vapor, and this phenomena we are calling it as a transpiration. Okay, we can also demonstrate the transpiration process by using cobalt chloride paper. Okay, the cobalt chloride. Okay, cover the plant with a cobalt chloride paper and leave it in the sun. After some time, we can observe there is a change in the color of the cobalt chloride. Okay, this is because of the absorption of water from the water that is released from the plants through transpiration. Okay, that is so. That means the transpiration is the phenomena in which the plant loses water through the stomata of the leaf in the form of water vapor. We are calling it as a transpiration. Okay, and we'll discuss in detail about this transpiration in the next class.